Nobody warned us this was coming. One photo, one quiet upload, and suddenly the man we thought we knew looked like someone else entirely. When the picture of Tyray Mollett hit the internet, people didn't just scroll past it. They froze, because the Tyray staring back at us was almost half the size, and carrying a story nobody was prepared for. I remember exactly where I was when I saw it. Late night, phone in my hand, thumb halfway through a lazy scroll. And then boom, there he was. Smaller, sharper, different, not just physically, but emotionally. Like something heavy had finally been lifted, but at a cost nobody was talking about yet. And the question started spreading faster than the photo itself: what happened to Tyray Mollett? At first, people thought it was fake. Filters, old angles, maybe even Photoshop, because this wasn't the Tyray most of us met on 90 Day Fiancé. This wasn't the shy, soft-spoken guy who carried extra weight and even more emotional baggage. This was someone who looked like he'd been through a war and came out changed. And before we go any further, I want to say this honestly, because I know what some of you are thinking. Reality TV edits people. Fame exaggerates stories. Weight loss photos can lie. I get the skepticism. I felt it too. But once you hear everything, once you really understand what Tyray has been carrying all these years, this story hits different. So if you've ever rooted for the underdog, if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever looked at yourself and wondered if change was even possible, you might want to stay with me on this one. And if you've been following 90 Day Stories with us here on Talent Zone Updates, go ahead and subscribe. Not because of the algorithm, but because stories like this deserve to be told with heart, not headlines. Now let's rewind, because Tyray Mollett didn't just show up on 90 Day Fiancé out of nowhere. He came with years of quiet pain already stitched into his life. Before the cameras, before the memes, before strangers felt entitled to comment on his body and his heart, Tyray was a caregiver. A son, a man who put his own life on pause to take care of his sick mother. While other people his age were dating, traveling, building confidence, Tyray was learning how to survive on emotional crumbs. He was lonely, yes, but more than that, he was starving for connection. And when love finally seemed to show up in his life, he grabbed onto it with both hands. Too tightly, maybe, too desperately, but can you blame him? We watched it happen on screen. The online relationship, the hope, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about her, and then the slow, brutal realization that the woman he loved wasn't real. That the relationship wasn't just a lie, it was a complete illusion. A catfish, a betrayal that didn't just break his heart, but publicly exposed his deepest vulnerability. People laughed. That part still hurts to say out loud. Instead of protecting him, the internet turned him into a punchline. His body, his voice, his innocence, everything became fair game, and Tyray took it all quietly. Too quietly, because here's the thing most people missed. Tyray didn't just lose a fake girlfriend. He lost the future he had been imagining in his head for years. He lost the belief that someone could choose him. And when that belief dies, it doesn't just go away. It settles into your body. It weighs you down, literally. Food became comfort. Isolation became routine. And the weight kept climbing, not because Tyray didn't care, but because sometimes surviving feels easier than changing. Then the show ended. The cameras left. The comments stayed. And this is where the story starts to shift. Because while the internet moved on to the next scandal, Tyray was alone with himself. No producers, no scripts, no sympathetic music playing in the background. Just him, his reflection, and years of unresolved pain. The first emotional layer of this story is denial. Tyray didn't wake up one day and decide to transform his life. At first, he avoided mirrors, avoided photos, avoided thinking about his future at all. He told himself he was fine, that people were cruel, but he was used to it, that love just wasn't meant for him. But then came the second layer, the breaking point. According to people close to him, there was a moment, quiet, unfilmed, deeply personal, when Tyray realized he couldn't recognize himself anymore. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. He wasn't living, he was hiding, and hiding had started to feel more painful than trying. So he started small, Not with a trainer, not with a big announcement. Just walking, cutting back, saying no to food that felt good in the moment but terrible afterward. And more importantly, he started confronting the emotions he'd been eating to avoid. The third layer is discipline. And this is where things got real. Weight loss like this doesn't happen by accident. Tyray didn't just drop pounds. He fought for every inch of progress. Early mornings, late nights, days where the scale didn't move and the comments still stung. Days where the loneliness screamed louder than ever because food was no longer there to mute it. And here's what hurts the most. While Tyray was quietly rebuilding himself, people were still talking about him like he was frozen in time. Like he was still the same broken man from TV. He had to outgrow an image the world refused to let go of. Then came the fourth layer. The photo. No caption begging for praise. No dramatic explanation. Just a picture. And suddenly the internet exploded. TikTok lit up first. One video after another. Wait, is that Tyray? There's no way that's him. Why do I feel proud of someone I don't even know? Twitter, or X, went wild. Some people applauded him. Others questioned his methods. A few even accused him of doing it for attention. Instagram comments were emotional whiplash. One fan wrote, "I'm crying because this man survived something we didn't see." Another said, "He looks good but I hope he's okay inside." Reddit threads got deep fast. People admitting they saw themselves in Tyray. Others confessing they underestimated him. And in the middle of all that noise, Tyray stayed quiet. Which brings us to the fifth and final layer. The one nobody saw coming. Because the biggest shock wasn't the weight loss. It wasn't the before and after comparison. It wasn't even the public reaction. The real shock is why he did it. Sources close to Tyray have shared that this transformation wasn't about looking better for the internet. It wasn't about proving haters wrong. It wasn't about fame at all. It was about grief. Tyray lost more than love over the past few years. He lost parts of himself he may never get back. Time, confidence, safety, and at some point, he realized that if he didn't fight for the version of himself that still existed, he might lose that too. This wasn't a glow up. This was survival. And that's why the photo feels different. That's why it stops people mid-scroll. Because you can see it in his eyes. He's smaller, yes, but he's also heavier with truth. With experience. With scars. So now I want to ask you something, honestly. How many times have we judged someone at their lowest and then acted shocked when they rise quietly? How many people around us are changing in silence while we're too busy clinging to who they used to be? Tyray Mollett didn't owe the world a transformation. He didn't owe us a comeback story. But he gave us something else instead. A reminder that healing doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just shows up in a photo, and dares you to look closer. And if you're watching this feeling something stir inside you, maybe that's not about Tyray at all. Maybe it's about you. Maybe it's about the part of you that's been waiting for proof that change is still possible. Because if Tyray can lose half his size after carrying half a lifetime of pain, what might be waiting on the other side of your own breaking point? I'll leave you with that.